Welcome back to our channel. I'm Kitty and this is Emma. And today we wanted to do a bit of a deep dive into dairy. We love dairy. Geez, I love cheese and I love ice cream and I love milk and all the amazing things, all the amazing foods that you make out of dairy. I remember when I first met Emma, I'd not been drinking dairy since the age of 12. So my mum took me to a naturopath who told her I was lactose intolerant. And then I had to eat all the shit soy cheeses and
No.
drink the soy milk and the almond milk. And, after we worked together and just healed my digestion and my metabolism, I now just drink heaps of milk and ice cream and cheese, and I have zero issues.
I
So, you
can't
know what?
remember. Did we go slow with you? Like
Probably
when
not.
you
I
got
think we
back
just
into
went
it,
back.
you
Yeah, I
don't
was
go
just like,
slow
let's
with
go.
anything,
I
go.
don't do so then. Yeah, I was
You
like,
don't
fuck
go
it.
gung
Yeah.
ho.
We just went balls in, balls to the wall.
So you're clearly not completely lactose intolerant
No.
because, and we'll talk about this with
Yeah, talk
lactose
about it.
intolerance,
Yeah.
reintroduction going slow is so important. But yeah, if you had any lactose intolerance going full on, you would have
Mm.
had horrific responses and your bowels
I
would have
know.
not been happy, but
I know.
your
Yeah.
body ate it up happily. So
Yeah, totally.
that was a crock, wasn't it?
And we
Mm.
just want all people to enjoy dairy because it's just amazing. And I
Oh,
feel like it
life's sad
has,
without it, isn't it?
I know every night we eat our ice cream. And yeah, I get so much joy from it. And I had this, one of my favorite cheeses is this pecorino with truffle in it from Harris Farm
Oh,
Markets. So we had a big block of that with pate the other night and grapes and just these nice sourdough crackers.
oh,
Oh my God, it
perfect
was
food.
incredible.
Oh my
My
God.
mouth is watering. I'm pretty hungry actually. It's
See,
nearly half
health
past.
food should be yummy.
Yeah.
It
But I feel
is.
like dairy is so demonized, Emma, and that's why I wanted to do
Yeah.
this video with you. So, why do you think dairy has become so demonized?
I honestly don't know. I think what the initial, I don't know if there was something against the dairy industry, but I think over time, people have become more damaged in their guts with the type of non-foods we've been eating or the wrong foods or the stress
Mm,
people are under. And once you have a damaged gut, that can lead to insufficient enzyme secretion,
mm,
lactase being one of them, the enzyme that breaks down lactose. Stomach acid being insufficient, bacterial overgrowth that comes with that. And then I guess the combination of trying to ingest something like dairy
mm,
without sufficient enzymes and with, the bacteria there that could be festering on it, then yeah, you're going to get negative side effects. And people assume it's the issue of the dairy and dairy is bad instead of seeing it as maybe there's an issue in me. And why can Joe Blow down the road drink milk and eat
mm,
his Cocoa Pops? No issue, but I can't.
mm,
But then certain practitioners might turn it around and go, yeah, because dairy is bad, so cut it out and you'll be fine, rather than going,
mm,
what can we do to improve the health of the body
mm,
that you can drink it asymptomatically and thrive because there's nothing but good stuff in it.
Yeah, it just tastes so good. And I think there's all these bloody fitness influencers out there, drinking their fucking soy milk and their almond milk and like they're all skinny and
Well,
lean
they don't
and
really deserve to have the word milk attached to them, do
no,
they?
I know.
Milk
It's
is
just such a
milk.
poor substitute for
It's
milk, hey?
just it's
Yeah.
oat liquid and soy juice. The only way it mimics milk is by being white and liquid, I suppose. But there's
Yeah.
nothing else about these liquids
Yeah.
that mimic or come close to what is like the incredible enormity of nutrients that are in milk
Yep.
and the perfection of this food. So they just don't
They
deserve
don't.
that tag, do
Yeah.
they? No.
Yeah. Nah. And I know you touched on it a bit before, but let's talk about why we think dairy is so good and such a great food.
Well, there's nothing else like it compared to calcium content.
Mm.
Nothing comes close. We were talking sort of on the protein topic about certain foods that contain so many enzyme inhibitors and anti-nutrients, and there's nothing of that in dairy. Dairy was designed to nourish and to
Mm.
encourage growth, and it just, when the gut is healthy, you can only
Mm.
absorb these nutrients asymptomatically, and they're all in their bioavailable form. So the nutrients in there don't need to then be converted, don't need any other work in the body to make use in the body. So
Mm.
it's a pretty close to a perfect food. Also in terms of its balance of proteins, sugars, and fats, the macronutrients, it contains all of them. If anything,
Mm.
it's probably a little bit low on the sugars, the carbohydrates. which is why we, turn into chocolate milk and voila, it's perfect. Sugar it up. But it's such a nourishing, complete food. Dr. Raypeat always talked about, if someone was unable to eat, or access, I suppose, so many different kinds of proteins and things, as long as they had access to quality milk and orange juice and maybe a few eggs and some salt, you could cover almost all requirements. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so amazing. And can you just talk a little bit more about like calcium? Because a lot of people, you hear them say, oh, you don't need calcium, you don't need that much calcium. But like, why is that? Can you talk about the parathyroid gland and calcium, what it does in the body, and what happens if you don't actually eat adequate calcium?
Absolutely. And you can talk, look into the calcium paradox that's talked about widely, but when people get calcification of joints or calcium deposits in the arteries that can lead to heart issues, or calcium deposits that can lead to things like kidney stones even, and all these sort of issues. Again, the original thought was that, oh no, there's all this calcium being deposited, therefore we've got to stop the source of calcium. Let's cut out all milk that's causing these stones, causing this calcification. But it's quite the opposite. If there's sufficient dietary calcium coming in, the body doesn't need to dump it from bone. So enough comes in, and therefore these kind of calcification issues usually go away. Whereas if calcium is restricted, dietary calcium is restricted, the body leaches it from the bones and it ends up being dumped in the soft tissue. So it's really important that you keep dietary calcium coming in, and these problems don't usually come about. But yeah, look into the calcium paradox. It's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, it's amazing. And can you talk about, like, because the other thing people say to me is like, oh, but spinach has calcium in it. Why is that maybe not the best way to get calcium in?
It's also got a lot of oxalates. Again, we're talking about these anti-nutrients, but these can stop you from not only absorbing the minerals in the spinach, but also leach these minerals out of you. So again, you've got to be concerned about not just the good nutrients that you could measure in a food, but what are these other plant toxins, naturally occurring plant toxins, that can, wreak havoc and actually impede your ability to absorb the nutrients from that food. So yeah, looking beyond just that nutritional profile of the food, but the other compounds there.
And why do people become lactose intolerant?
For many reasons. As I was saying before, if you've got impaired digestion, bacterial overgrowth, usually coming from having a slow metabolism, which is quite a broad problem these days, that can slow not only your peristalsis, the movement of your intestines, but slow the secretion of your digestive juices and all the enzymes that come of that. One of the enzymes being lactase. That's the enzyme that helps you break down lactose. So if you don't have the enzyme lactase, your body can't do anything with lactose. And all that can happen is then the bacteria that are already overgrowing will feed on that lactose, being a sugar. And that might lead to the bloating or the runs that you might get, elevation of serotonin, which can lead to diarrhea. So restoring gut function primarily is very important, clearing out the SIBO, or the small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So they can't thrive on it before you get to. Being conscious of, general thyroid health, because that rules your hydrochloric acid secretion in your stomach. And things like also estrogen dominance. Estrogen can impede your lactase enzyme as well. So there's a multitude of factors there, which should, again, change our perspective on just demonizing the dairy and blaming the dairy for all these digestive symptoms. If our digestion was good and healthy and optimal, then we should be able to drink milk, no issue, and just get the good from it without those sort of side effects.
And so what do you typically do? Because we've done it too with women in our program. They'll come in and they can't digest dairy. So what are some of the steps or things that you can do to try and improve your body's ability to consume dairy?
Yeah. Well, first of all, doing all the things we do, the pro-metabolic approach, I suppose, which is trying to optimize their metabolic health. You might be just the simple things like the daily carrot salad, perhaps some charcoal, things like that help, move out the accumulated waste in the gut and the intestinal tract. And then when it comes to milk, finding a good quality milk that you find delicious personally, that's important too. because sometimes the things that you are turned off by are the things that your body's already telling you there's something about that. And the quality of the milk, not just considering that's, it's organic, it's from pasture-raised cows and all that sort of thing. But I know in America in particular that it's almost a rule, particularly with the low-fat milks, that they've got to add synthetic vitamins. And some people find that all along they thought the milk was the issue, but it wasn't. It was the synthetic vitamins added. So trying to source milk that doesn't have these additives, and then going really slow. So if one of the issues was that perhaps you just hadn't drunken milk in decades, like you yourself hadn't, for most people, the body's gone, well, you know what? I'm going to stop producing lactase because the body's an efficient machine. It's not going to waste energy producing something that it's not called on to need. So lactase enzyme might be downregulated. So you're not just going to, glug down 3 milkshakes in a day after not drinking milk in 3 years. You probably will find you'll bloat and you'll not feel so good. So you want to give the body a chance to start producing lactase again by reintroducing lactose. And I've had clients who it might take us months, it might take us more than a year, but literally starting with maybe a shot glass of milk a day. That's it. Doing that for weeks and weeks. And once that seems to be going down fine and there's no adverse reactions from it, we'll move up to half a cup. We'll move up very gradually, right to the point where over the years, I'll see clients who go from being told that they were terribly lactose intolerant and their symptoms sort of agree and show that, you seem to have very, pretty pronounced reactions to milk. But by introducing it slowly and doing the other things to clean the gut out too, they can then guzzle down a couple of liters of milk a day, no problem. And then they really thrive. And then with the effects of the incredible calcium and this well-absorbed protein that milk provides, and the benefits of lactose itself, they suddenly see their temperatures go up, their metabolism does really well for it. And it's also such a convenient protein. It's something that, you get busy time poor mums who can't seem to keep their nutrients up, their protein up. But if you can say, can you go to the fridge? Can you guzzle down some milk? Can you put a swig of maple syrup and a fat pinch of salt in there and take it in a bottle in the car and sip on that the next hour? And they're like, yeah, I could do that as a snack. That's pretty easy. And it is. It can be that easy as long as you can prep your body and prime it in a way that it can actually take the milk in and reap the benefits of it.
And just on raw milk, because, I think in the pro-metabolic community, like they're all banging on about like you need to have raw milk. And, I think like great if you can access raw milk, but it's not easily accessible in Australia. It's illegal. And, can you still get the amazing benefits of milk just drinking a good quality
Definitely.
normal milk?
Yeah. And it is true. We can get a bit like perfectionist and a bit purist in this whole nutritional game. And if you get a bit obsessed on the topic, it's probably unhealthy in itself to sometimes get so stressed on the details because, I don't know, then you're not going to get the benefits of the food if you're highly stressed. But I think with milk, it's get the best you can find. And like I said, get the one that you find tastes delicious to you personally. Making sure there's nothing else added to it. That would be fundamental. It can also be a case that, look, just say you do source a pretty clean looking milk. It might be organic, biodynamic, looks good on paper, but you still find that even at small amounts, it's not going down right. Explore different brands from different dairies, because sometimes it can also come down to the variety of weed or feed that cow's eating. And that can be what you're reacting to. Again, not the lactose, not the casein, but the other components from the plants or the weeds. And, don't stop till you've explored many different kinds. Beyond that, it might be the variety of cow that's important. I personally prefer more your Jersey variety milk than your Holstein and your Guernseys, which are the more common cows. There's more different dairies coming up and they'll specify what kind of cow. Further to that, no matter what, if cow's milk just doesn't sit well with you, don't give up on dairy, try goat's milk. They say that the fat globules are more similar size to human milk. So I think people are too quick to diss milk entirely. They throw the baby out with the bathwater by just kind of going, I drink milk, doesn't go down well, cut it out. Go through every different possibility with milk. And I have had people that, surprisingly enough, they did have access to raw milk. I had a few clients in America that this happened to over the years where They had the best milk, the cream on top. It was that lovely, rich, creamy color. And they just said, have the best milk, but I still can't ingest milk. I might just give up on milk. We then explored, funnily enough, your highly heat treated milks, your what do you call them? The
pasteurized.
Yeah,
no,
highly
ultra
pasteurized.
pasteurized.
Oh, yeah,
UHT.
UHT. And for them, went down a dream.
Yeah.
Because that probably indicates that even still with cleaning out their gut, there was still an element of bacterial overgrowth. Bacteria was the thing that was tipping them over. And as beautiful as the raw milk was, there was a bacterial component that was just the trigger for them. Whereas the completely sterile liquid milk, they were able to get, you still got your same proteins, you still got incredible calcium, you still got the benefits of the things that aren't affected by heat. And they thrived. So yeah, don't get too perfectionist and purist on the milk. Get the best you can, and go slow, introducing it slowly. Even adding a bit of sugar, a bit of maple syrup, a bit of honey, or food with carbohydrates around the time of it. That balance can help it go down better and assimilate better as well.
And just quickly before we finish, also, like, people have this thing that, low-fat milk and skim milk is bad as well. I think obviously in Australia you can just have, like, we actually drink quite a lot of skim and low-fat milk because we drink a lot of, and we're getting a lot of fat in other areas of our diet.
Exactly.
And so, like, it's just milk with less fat. Like, there's nothing else in it. So people go, but they think that skim milk is bad or that low-fat milk is bad if it's just low-fat milk.
It's context is everything. And that's what, it depends who's the person we talk about and what's the rest of their diet look like. And yes, by taking the fat component off, you'll be lessening the amounts of fat soluble nutrients in there, particularly the vitamin A, which is so beneficial. But just say we're talking about someone like Kitty who gets plenty of vitamin A. She's eating her liver, she's eating butter and eggs. You're getting plenty of fat. You're having a lovely, lamb meal with its natural fat components right there. And she's already drinking probably some full fat milk here or there. But she's also drinking another litre or so of milk in her day. If you were to have full fat milk on top of an already fat, healthy diet, already more than optimal vitamin A, more than most people would get, then I wouldn't worry about, the slightly lowered vitamin A of the low fat milk. You're getting the other benefits of milk without tipping you over on the fat side, which if you were to just go heavy on the fat in all levels of your diet and have the amount of calories you have in your day, I think your liver would probably get overwhelmed and, you wouldn't be able to assimilate all that fat. You'd probably feel a bit nauseous for it. So, yeah, it really depends. Whereas someone who really does undereat and they could use some more milk and they could definitely use some more fat, certainly go full fat. But it depends.
Don't worry. Like, think just plain old low-fat skim milk is fine. Like,
it's fine. If you've got plenty of other fat going on and vitamin A going on, it can be wonderful. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just interesting how people like demonize. I mean, potentially in the States where it's got all the added shit back into it, that's a problem.
That is a problem. Yeah.
I actually interviewed Noelle on the podcast recently.
Oh, yeah.
And we were talking about, so she lives on a farm and milks her own cows, but what they do is they have this separator and they skim the cream off and they make it into butter and ice cream. So she actually drinks a lot of skim milk. Like,
because the fat is just shifted over here.
That's right. And they use it in butter. And she's like, that's typically how like they would do it in the farms,
Absolutely.
They're not drinking 8 liters of like full fat milk every day. It's kept.
Well, they're not homogenizing their milk. So
if
you were just drinking that milk liquid, you'd have big lumps of fat floating around, which probably wouldn't be appealing. So use it over there.
Yeah.
So you're still getting the whole,
and getting enough of the calcium that you need. So I mean, we don't all have cows that we can milk, and then, it sounds beautiful. I'm like, I bet you it's amazing. She's like, it's beautiful. But I think don't be afraid of the low fat milk if it's just low fat or skim milk.
Oh, and just, use common sense too. And what feels right. But I think first things first, if someone has been scared to drink milk for many years or just assumed it was bad and that their almond milk was enough, to rethink things, read into it a little bit more and explore and just see how you feel with starting to integrate a little bit more in there. And I think fundamentally first things first, you're going to feel a bit happier, aren't you? Because it just opens up a world of happy foods, doesn't it? Like cheese platters and ice cream.
You hear us talk about it. We just love food. Don't we, Emma? We love food. Yeah.
Love food. And chocolate milk.
I love going to Emma's house because she always, I mean, I love to go to see her, but I also
No,
love
you
that
just
she
come
makes
for
all
the
these. I just
food.
come for the food. Not gonna lie, I just come for the food. But yeah, that's so, you know, get into the dairy. We love the dairy. Go and follow our Instagram page. It's saturate_official_. That's where we share lots more content.
Can I add one more thing?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Butting in on you again.
That's okay.
If you're starting with the liquid milk, and again, just reflecting on some clients from way back, that one that was just eczema flare-ups with dairy, and even with just a little shot a day was enough to see an eczema flare-up. Nearly we're going to give up on the dairy altogether. We went next to hard cheeses instead of liquid milk because, again, you've got a lower lactose component that's been sort of removed in the process of making cheese. So exploring different cheeses until we found one cheese that seemed to go down fine, no symptoms. And he focused on the cheese. And over the years, I think he still tried liquid milk, which still sort of sent him off a bit. But in the end, he was eating a large block of this cheese every day. So he was getting all the benefits of the incredible calcium and protein of dairy again, but without the thing that for him was a trigger, but without giving up dairy entirely and resorting to some other sort of fake milk. So again, there's just so many ways that you can bring it back in or make it work for you and still get the benefits.
Thanks, Emma.
Back to what you were saying.
No, just say follow Instagram page and then head to our website. Emma's written a ton of awesome articles, more educational articles. And yeah, we will be back again soon.